and I have quite the treat for you all today. So let's get the show on the road. So what is Aquari? Essentially, and in simple terms, what Aquari aims to be is a decentralized environmental conservation organization with a clean to earn token incentive. So for those of you that are like, what does clean to earn mean? What's really trending with GameFi right now in various blockchain games is a play to earn token incentive. And so at Aquari, we thought, hey, if we could somehow figure out a way to incentivize individuals to exchange labor to a Web3 native NGO and use that labor to actually generate cleanups, that can actually give us a competitive advantage compared to traditional environmental conservation organizations. We believe that every industry in the future will evolve into its Web3 enabled equivalent, and Aquari aims to basically disrupt current NGOs and evolve NGOs into what we believe they would look like in the future. So in 2021, the Aquari community came together and formed a grassroots movement to connect the speculative value that's present on-chain to tangible value within the real world. This community saw the bull market of 2021 as there was a lot of super high valuations that were made, but the biggest thing that pretty much concerned us was the fact that all these valuations we see on screen, they don't necessarily translate to that much value in the physical world. And so we thought, okay, what type of project could we build to actually connect these valuations you see on screen to something that actually has a real world impact? So why are we building this? We're building this because existing environmental NGOs suffer from these current major problems. So the number one is that since NGOs are based on a philanthropic model and not a for-profit model, they have huge capital misallocation. We believe that the adoption of the market economy was one of humanity's greatest achievements in the modern era. And so why is it that we have every other industry running for a for-profit model, but environmental conservation, we're using philanthropy? You know, we believe that individuals who create value by restoring our planet should be able to earn profit from the value that they create. And when we looked deep into the problem, we found that the issue was that historically, there was no way for individuals who would say allocate their capital to environmental conservation to yield any sort of return. You know, any sort of income would be pocketed by NGOs, and since they're pretty much cash strapped and they have this revenue stream, they pretty much pocket everything, and the market economy isn't able to signal prices correctly. So we believe that we want to tackle this problem at its root and engineer an artificial market force to allow this wealth transfer to happen. And we believe if that wealth transfer is able to happen, then the environmental conservation industry will start to function like any other traditional industry that's present in the world. So NGOs, we found that their market fit historically in industrial era societies before the information age was their function was to connect those with capital who wish to contribute towards environmental restoration and connect them with people who have excess time and labor, and they want to contribute that towards environmental conservation. And so NGOs, in the grand scheme of things, were the middlemen that link these two forces together. Aquari also aims to solve the issue with transparency and public governance. So the beautiful thing about blockchains is the public ledger, which means that all the cash flows and capital allocation that's happening for our NGO is on the public ledger. And if you can actually put this into a nice, easy to read user experience for the user and allow members of the Aquari DAO to govern where their capital should be deployed for efforts, we believe this will completely flip the relationship that consumers have with environmental conservation. So why now? Before 2021, the prerequisite blockchain infrastructure had yet to mature to support such a project. Our economic system and tokenomic system requires a blockchain of low gas fees to be economically viable. You cannot charge fees when Ethereum gas prices are, over $100. And while Ethereum has an amazing developer ecosystem, because I find that they're stuck on that in the Ethereum ecosystem, they aren't as free to test other economic models that become economical with low transaction fees. So DAOs are also increasing in popularity, but very few have a use case that aims to solve an actual market need. And environmental conservation, having members of a DAO meet up in person to perform cleanups, this actually gives our users a sense of mission-driven purpose. And like we said earlier, there's a market demand for more transparency from NGOs. Key highlights, we have over 11,000 holders with an active and dedicated community. And one of the strategic benefits that we have is that over 40% of our user base is located within the Netherlands. And the Netherlands being a small geographic country, the competitive advantage that we have is that we're able to actually summon a huge amount of our user base in these early stages to actually attend our cleanups and actually get impact done. Had we not had this concentration of holders, it would be hard to actually summon enough people for said cleanups in these early stages before we scale. The existing market for environmental conservation philanthropy is much smaller than the market for environmental conservation that we will spawn. This is due to the fact that consumers and institutions would rather stake and earn 7 to 14% to save the environment than donate and lose 100% of our capital. So the main value add that we're adding to the consumer is, hey, you can get that same psychological value that NGOs provide with you, but you don't have to lose your capital anymore. What we have done, so we formed a close partnership with UN award-winning environmentalist Malhar Kalambe to clean and maintain the Methi River in Mumbai, India. He has close connections with the local government of Maharashtra, and this has allowed us to bypass the regulatory issues that most startups in the space actually tend to face when working in these types of countries. And we worked with Malhar to use the Methi River and Dadar Beach as a testing ground for fine-tuning our economic system and clean to earn thesis. And Malhar was immensely amazed at the huge turnout of workers that would want to show up in order to earn rewards. And what ended up happening is the networking effects of hearing that an organization is actually paying, albeit minimum wage, for such labor. Word would spread, and there are unskilled workers that actually came out to actually come and clean. And what you get is you're able to get the impact that you see on the right for a much lower cost than a traditional NGO, because we do not actually have the high cost administrative overhead that regular NGOs have. The capital that's put in our protocol is actually given directly to the workers because they are paid in Aquari. So what differentiates from our competitors? I know I'm running low on time. We believe that environmental conservation organizations of the future must become a for-profit social enterprise in order for us to solve our problems on this planet. My team firmly believes there will never be enough donations to fix this problem. And what ends up happening is our competitors are trying to rebuild existing NGO infrastructure on the blockchain, and we feel that is not the way it should be. What we believe is that you should engineer, I call it market engineering. You want to utilize the blockchain to engineer a market force to allow this capital transfer to happen to those that actually stake their capital. And so one of the benefits that we get with our protocol, since we have a clean to earn model, is that traditional NGOs have to raise capital, then deliver impact, and then market D2C. But Aquari, we actually can just issue our native tokens, deliver the impact, and then market that impact. So we're actually able to deliver impact before we've even asked for money. And impact scaling can be balanced depending on the market forces at play with the Aquari economy. So what benefits does Aquari bring? I'll speed this up, but in certain nations, the duty of environmental conservation follows under the governing authority and power. We believe that once Aquari scales and disrupts NGOs, we can actually begin to approach governments to offer our labor force, which will allow them to, in exchange for government contracts. The benefit is that this government money would actually be distributed to members of their local nation and to local municipalities, thus enriching local laborers. There are also other benefits, as I said, this is mainly a benefit for developing world markets. And in developing markets, it's the sense of community and actually doing good that we bring, if that makes sense, because cleanups are not as economical. Revenue streams, this is the last slide. We can go B2C, which is what we're doing right now, which is disrupting NGOs use case. Then once we have a big enough scaling, we can go B2G, where, hey, we can government or a politician, if you want to clean your community so you can win your next election or get good favor within your local government, you can hire us at a cheaper price, and we end up creating jobs in your local municipality. B2B wise, in the future, the world wants to go carbon negative, and what we're trying to do is create a labor generation machine. It doesn't have to be plastic removal. we can also plant trees. So once Aquari has scaled, we can then say plant trees to earn. For example, this generates negative carbon footprint. Aquari could then become accredited to issue carbon certificates, which then we could sell and deposit into the protocol. So, and then there's traditional donation. So these are the 4 different revenue streams that we believe the Aquari project could go down in the various future. And to finalize, I just wanted to showcase a small clip, 30 seconds of one of our cleanups. A community member shot this. And yes, so this is in Pepinster, Belgium. The community decided that we wanted help with the flood relief that was happening because of the floods that happened in Limburg and Central Europe. And so they all met together, and we had 60 people turn out to actually perform this cleanup. And this cleanup is mainly for building social ties. So it just improves the relationship with holders and whatnot. And this is our website. Our social media is right here, and that's